Hello, all you awesome people out there. Welcome or welcome back to Geek Visits Entertainment, the one place dedicated to the big three of visual media, that, of course, being film, video games, and television. I'm your host, as always, Hoover, and I hope everybody out there enjoyed their holidays, ate some good food, spent some time with some family, maybe got some good gifts. We got what you got the people what they wanted, all the good stuff here. It is currently December 30th. We currently only have this and one more day left in the year of 2024. It's crazy how fast a year goes. And so of course, at the end of the year, we gotta look back and back at some of the best, the worst, and the most disappointing the year had to offer. Our big three here, and that is what this episode is here today. I'm gonna look back at some of the best, worst, most disappointing movies, shows, video games, and of course any storylines that went along with all three of those. Um, so yeah, that's what we've been doing. We've been doing this for quite a while. I think this might be our third one we've done so far. Of course, the first one we've done for YouTube. Speaking of that, as we wrap this up, this is of course it hasn't been the full year. I think I started this in what um June, July or something maybe, somewhere around there. But yeah, this is our first. Actually, no, it was a lot earlier than that. It's when I moved, so it might have been at the it might have been closer to the start of the year. But anywho, our first year on YouTube here has wrapped up ever since we transitioned on over here from just the audio realm to here to doing the YouTube stuff here. So thanks for everybody who joined along the way, whether you watched the video or you're one of the 31 subscribers, which I know does not sound like a lot. May not be enough to you, but hey, for me, for if to be my first year doing this, that's it's quite a feat to get that many people already on board. So thank you all so much if you're subscribed already. If you haven't, if you've watched the video, or if this is your first video you watch, I even thank you for that too, because yeah, this has been quite a journey, and we're going to continue it on, and hopefully in a more in a more consistent manner. But of course, we shall see what the year brings. All right, moving on. So yeah, this year this was a very interesting year, if I do say so myself. Also, if you haven't noticed, this is the kind of working on something here, a new way to probably do the videos. One that involves a little less editing. We'll have to see how it works, of course. Just try some things out, seeing how it goes. Kind of doing some, I guess you call it live editing here as we actually record the video. We're gonna mess with some things live right here as we record it. I guess it's not live, but it's all baked into one another. So we'll see how this goes. But this might be the way we go about recording stuff for the future, news drops and things of that nature. Something to make things a little faster. Less work for me, the better. It may not work out the best. It may not look as good as the videos I did before, because that when I was using an actual DSLR camera as opposed to my little face cam right here. But hey, if it means I can get things done faster and get it out faster, then hey, I'll take a little small dip in quality until I can upgrade some stuff, and we'll get there. But anywho, enough of me rambling on. Let's jump right into what we're going to be talking about in this episode today. And of course, as always, to kick things off, we're going to start with film, and we're going to be talking about the worst in film this year. And I want to start off, of course, I'm going to start off with probably one of the first bombs of the year, and that was, of course, Madam Web. If y'all Matter Web, when did this drop? I think Matter Web dropped sometime in like February or something. It came out. I think we all, I think we all knew, if we were being honest with ourselves, I think we all knew this movie was going to come out, and it was not going to be that good of a movie. And it kind of the first trailer dropped, and I think it just kind of cemented all of our fears. And when it came out, it indeed was it indeed was just that. It was not a good movie. There's very little redeeming quality in it. It was yet another in the Sony, as I call it, Sony's Spider-Man-less cinematic universe. Which actually, you know what? By the way, I'm ad libbing right now. We're gonna, in addition to Madam Web, We're also just going to say Sony's entire Spider-Man universe stuff is going on the worst list as well. Why? Because not only did Madam Web bomb, Venom 3 also bombed. Um, Venom 3 was kind of having diminishing returns every year, every so often. I think the first one they kind of lucked out into something pretty good. Unfortunately, the second one came out. It did I think it did make enough money, but it made significantly less than the first one did. And then Venom: The Last Dance dropped this year, and that made less than what the second one made. So it's having less and less each year. So there's that. So of course that didn't work out as well. And then of course, we just wrapped up very recently. Craven the Hunter just came out maybe a few weeks ago at this point. Dead on arrival. I don't I don't think anybody was looking forward to that movie. That also bombed in the box office. So, and then it's just been reported that Sony is effectively canceling everything to do with this Spider-Man less cinematic universe. So, Craven the Hunter is probably going to be the last. They are still going to be working with Marvel with Tom Holland Spider-Man. It's pretty much just all hands on board for the Spider-Man 4 coming out with Tom Holland. And what else we get from there, we'll have to wait and see. So yeah, Madam Web and Sony's Spider-Man list universe is our first worst of 2024 on our list right now. All right, after that, we got to talk about. Does anybody else remember this movie? The I can't even remember the name. I just wrote just just wrote Magical Negroes. If anybody remembers this movie, is what the fuck was it called? The Society of Magical Negroes or something like that. Whatever. It was a movie about the terrible title aside. Um, just typing this in is fucking hilarious. It was a movie about like a secret society of black people who work to make life easier for white people. Uh, so there you have it. David Allen Greer was in this. I forget the kid's name, who was the main character in this. But yeah, this movie was also dead on arrival. I know the terrible title, the trailer came out. And I know in this day and age it's kind of hard to tell, but this was I got it at least when I first seen the title and the trailer. I got it. It was meant to be a satire. Um so I knew that when I watched the trailer. Unfortunately, it seems like a lot of people, a lot of other people who might have seen it did not get that same sentiment. So it kind of had an uphill battle, as you know, just a not people not clinging on to the fact that it's a satire film and people thinking that it was played straight up for what it was. But yeah, anyway, this movie it didn't work out. It failed in the box office. It did not do well. Didn't stay in theaters too long. So there you go. And from what I hear, the movie also didn't review very well either. So a lot of things not working out there for the Society of Magical Magical Negroes. So there you go. All right, next up on the list, to no surprise to anybody, Borderlands, the video game adaptation to the film adaptation to said video game. That's what I meant to say. Um, so yeah, Borderlands. I'm pretty sure we all knew this movie was not going to be that good. I think the first doubts started back in the casting of the movie when they announced we were getting Kate Blanchett, who is a phenomenal actress. Nothing against her. I love me some Kate Blanchett. Uh, it wasn't the right fit for her. Jamie Lee Curtis is like Dr. Tennis, but I think the biggest one for me was of course Kevin Hart cast as Roland, and I knew it from there. I was like, what are they aiming for in this movie? And then yeah, the movie came out and completely bombed. I think it was only in theaters for like 3 weeks, and then they took it off and put it on digital. And yeah, and you know, it's one of the sad signs that video game movie adaptations Sorry, still aren't there just yet. But hey, luckily Sonic came at the end of the year and saved all that. We'll talk about that later. So yeah, Borderlands, I'm pretty sure. It's terrible. All right. This one I got two that I didn't know exactly where to put them. Um, I think I originally had them the other way, and than what I'm going to announce them as. But I think this is what we're going to put them on. And the worst, Megalocalypse. I ain't gonna lie, I didn't even know this movie was out yet. I swear when I heard about this movie, I thought it was still like test screening. I heard like the test screenings weren't that good. So that was the last I heard about it. So I thought, okay, it's going back into the lab. They gonna touch it up. They gonna edit it, and then they gonna put it back out and see what happens. But no, apparently, it came out. Didn't even know it came out in theaters. If it did, if it did, or if it didn't. But yeah, it came out and it completely was dead on arrival. This was basically Francis Ford Coppola's baby. He'd been working on this for a while, paid a lot of it out of pocket himself. And I mean, I guess with that, I can't really be upset with it, which is why I didn't know if I wanted to put it in worst or most disappointing. Because it seemed like it was just a passion project that he was working on for the longest time and just wanted to do it and get it out there, no matter how good or how bad it was. And unfortunately, it seemed like it was pretty bad. So, so yeah, it was. It made it onto a lot of worst of lists. So I haven't seen it. So, but from what I've seen and what I've read and what I've heard, it doesn't seem like something I'm gonna be jumping at the bit to finally go see. But yeah, it's sad for Francis Ford Coppola. But like I said, it seemed like this was more of a passion project. It seemed like something he just wanted to do. He paid out of pocket for it himself. He lost. I think he lost more money in it than Lionsgate did. So there you go. So if it's just something he just wanted to do, I can't hate on it. So there you go. So that was one I didn't know if I wanted to put it on worst or most disappointing, but I decided to throw it on worst because it in fact did not do well. But there was this one that I felt like could have totally went either way. I decided to put it on most disappointing, which is what we're going to jump to now. I decided to put it there because, well, I never had too many high hopes for this movie as is, but it was at least something that was like thought might have been a little better, but apparently it wasn't. And that, of course, I'm talking about is Joker 2 or Joker Filet Adieu, the sequel to the standalone Joker movie. Joker movie that dropped, what, 2 years ago at this point? Yeah, this is a just a funny story. And I think because of the story that went with it is why I put it on most disappointing. Because I feel like there were so many elements into this that was gassed up far beyond what should have been. So if y'all don't know, when Joker released, it was the first movie. It released like right at the height of when DC was struggling. I mean, they were struggling, brother. They like the DC universe was not going well at all. And one of the only bright spots in all of the stuff that they released was Joker. It made like $1 billion in the box office. Um, both star Joaquin Phoenix and director Todd Phillips, I believe is his name, both of them made it blatantly obvious that they were making this as a standalone one-time movie. Both of them did not want to come back or have any intentions to do another one at all. But of course, WB being WB and them being execs, seeing how the movie made $1 billion, figure if this thing made $1 billion, imagine what a second one could do. A second one might make us $2 billion. Hell, a second one might make us $3 billion. What fools we would be to pass up on that amount of money? So basically, it just came down to greed overpowering creative choices. So they, I guess, they essentially backed up the Brinks trucks to both Todd Phillips and Joaquin Phoenix's door. It was like, hey, give you this movie. Todd Phillips made it known that the only way he would want to do a sequel is if he could do a musical. And WB was just like, "Yep, go right ahead. We do not care. We don't care. Just make sure you make it and let us know when that money starts rolling in." And look, I can't say on what the end product message might have been or any interpretations. I've seen and read a whole lot. I'm not gonna put my 2 cents into the ring because I don't know. But basically, the movie came out, and the movie was hot garbo. There there was a lot of talks that maybe it was maybe the movie was meant to be some sort of mirror to the people that they figured will go out of their way to go see this movie. Remember when the first movie came out, the edge lords, I guess you would call them. Because remember when the first movie came out, there was some worry that the movie could cause a negative public outcry and kind of have people acting in a very Joker like way in public. Of course, that didn't happen at all. So it was like some things like maybe he made this movie in regards to that. Maybe he made it in regards to the people who kind of see themselves or make idols of people like what the heck was Joker's name in this movie? I can't remember what his actual name was. Of people like the Joker, trying to maybe say something about that. I don't know. I haven't seen the movie, so I can't say what it was for sure. But what I can say is that the movie did not do well and pissed damn near everybody, everybody off, and the movie was a massive flop. So I don't whether it was Todd Phillips intentionally making a bad movie just to stick it to WB for still trying to push to do this, because I'm willing to bet that there was probably a good chance that if Todd and Joaquin still said no, WB might have still tried to chug along and do a sequel without the two of them anyway. So again, I don't know, but the movie didn't do well. So that's why I put it in most disappointing, just because the whole story that went into it. And like I said, once they announced that this movie was a musical, I was already disinterested in it. I had no appeal or want to go see the movie once they announced it was a musical. So I was like, all right, I'm good. So yeah, but that's just me. So there you have it. We'll see. So there you go. Most disappointing. So continuing on with the most disappointing news. Um, there was that movie itself. Kind of two more stories. I guess another way, it's kind of a movie. But one of the stories being the fact that movie theaters are still struggling in a post-pandemic world. People just aren't as enthused to go out to the movies much anymore. And that's definitely increased now with how fast movies are going to home video and streaming services, and you're able to rent or buy it digitally, or just watch it on whatever streaming service hosts it. So yeah, movie theaters are still struggling, and it's a little bit worrying. It's a little sad that what could be the state of watching movies could be in the future. So worried about that. And of course, I sadly I'm one of the people. I did say fun thing at the start of the year. I said um. We're 10 years past 2014. In 2014, I went to go see everything. I was in the theaters like every weekend or every other weekend to watch a movie. I went to go see every damn thing in 2014. So it was 2024. I was like, you know what? It's 10 years past that. I got my own spot. I got a car, which was like the biggest thing for me to go to the movies more. Was I need a car because I hated having to deal with the damn bus. So I was like, hey, I gotta make it like 2014. I need to go out into the theaters and watch more movies in theaters. And needless to say, um, that did not happen. I think I went to the theaters for 3 movies this year, and, that was Furiosa, Deadpool and Wolverine, and Sonic 3, and that was all I saw in theaters this year. But yeah, so a little disappointing news, maybe a little sad, little sad. Though there are some movies that did do exceptionally well in there. Like I mentioned, we'll talk about this a little later. Deadpool and Wolverine. Actually, we'll save that. We'll say I should have. Damn, if I was thinking, I would have said that last to transition into the best stuff. But whatever. Speaking of Furiosa, though, another thing I want to talk about is 2 movies that flopped, but I absolutely love them. I feel like they deserved a lot better. And one, as I mentioned, uh, one that I mentioned earlier was Furiosa, in the Mad Max saga. I went to go see this in theaters. It was great. I loved it. That action was phenomenal. Chris Hemsworth and Anya Taylor Joy killed it. I don't know what it is that movies that has Chris Hemsworth as a villain that I actively go see in theaters does not do well. There was this, and then there was Bad Times at the El Royale, which might have been which might have been one of those 2014 movies I went to go see back in the day. Let's see, Bad Times at the El, it was 2018. Okay, never mind. But yeah, yeah, that one and this one because he was great as Dementus in this movie, and this movie was fucking baller. I loved it. It was great. Still had that flair from Fury Road in it. The acting was great. The story was done extremely well. The pacing in it was great. The practical effects are still just amazing. Just the set design and everything in this movie was just phenomenal to just look. It's just a good movie to just look at. And then you add into it the high octane action and the phenomenal acting from both of it, and the very intriguing story that played out in a way that I honestly didn't think it would play out in the way it did. But it was great, man. I loved it, and to learn that the movie flopped at the box office was very sad to see. Like it was one of the only damn movies I went to the theater to go see this year. So to learn that it flopped was pretty sad. Was a pretty sad. As to why it flopped, I can't really say. It could just be timing. It's been so many years since Fury Road came out, so and Fury Road definitely no pun intended. Fury Road definitely reignited the Mad Max property and name. So the fact that this movie took so long to come out following that could have been a major point as to why it didn't work out because it's been so long since Fury Road came out. A lot of people probably don't remember it so much, but I did, and I loved it. So I'm very sad that Furiosa did not work out, and because of that, this franchise might be done yeah, yet again. I think George Miller did say that he's only going to make more Mad Max movies if Furiosa does well, and unfortunately, it did not do well. So we might not be getting any more Mad Max movies, which is a shame because this and Fury Road were fucking great movies, and it's a damn shame that they're not going to continue if they are. All right, the next movie I want to talk about that was also extremely fun to watch. Unfortunately, this one I did not go in theaters to see. I again kind of perpetuating the problem. I watched this one when it released on streaming services, but that doesn't change the fact that it was still a damn good movie, and that was Fall Guy, the movie that starred Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt, where he plays a stunt man who kind of just getting involved in some weird and crazy stuff. This was just a fun movie, which is why I'm disappointed it didn't work out because it's definitely one of those good action popcorn movies that you just go out and see, turn your brain off, and just watch and enjoy it for what it is. And it was good. And I think like a nice little underlying message that existed within it is the fact that they really kind of put a spotlight on an unsung hero of film and film production, that being the stunt team, stunt coordinators, and the stunt guys, the fall guys. And I think that was a really good and dope message in there. I do think Ryan Gosling came up at the Oscars this year and talked about how they should really implement uh Academy Award stuff for stunt work. There should be a category for stunt work, and I wholeheartedly agree. But yeah, this movie was great. It was fun, it was funny, it was enjoyable. It had a lot of personality. It's just a very original kind of film. For a lot of people talk about how Hollywood's dead and everything's just sequels and remakes. Even though yes, there are a lot of those, and some of those and some of those do tend to be good, and some of those are on my best of, my best of list. It's unfortunate how movies like this kind of get overlooked and they underperform. And people want to say that argument, but then movies like this come out and nobody goes sees it and nobody talks about it, and it just kind of ends up forgotten. And it's like, hey, it's a completely original movie with a very interesting story and angle that we don't see too much. How many movies do we get that's about like the actual stunt guy? And one that is like the meta thing of like it's about a stunt guy working on a movie, but it is a movie in and of itself. But yeah, but I love Fall Guy. I watched it and I loved it. I thought it was great. So I'm very sad that it didn't work out in theaters, which I actually didn't even know until I watched it on the streaming service. Now I looked it up and I was like, oh, it didn't do very well in the theaters, which kind of shocked me because it was damn good. If you haven't watched it, go watch it. It is very very good. All right, so that is it for our most disappointing for film. Now we move on to the best of film. And as I said, yeah, there are a lot of sequels and a lot of remakes, and quite a bit of them are indeed on this list. Like I mentioned, I only went to go see three movies this year. And two of them I probably put on this list. One I didn't write because I watched it way after I started making this list, but I would definitely put it on here. But one of them is definitely Deadpool and Wolverine, one of the biggest box office successes of the year, if not the highest grossing film of this year. Grossing is 2024. I always gotta miss the box office mojo. It was number two. Number one being actually number one and number four and number three being yet again something we're going to talk about a little later. But yeah, Deadpool and Wolverine, it was the third installment of the Deadpool movies. Like I said, it was one of the only three movies I went to go see this year in theaters. And that's because it very much was one of those movies where it's coming out, and it's one of those movies where it's like if you could only go see a select few movies in theaters a year or every couple months, it was one of those ones that you went out to go see, mostly because you want to avoid spoilers, you want to, and probably the biggest thing was the fact that it was Hugh Jackman coming back as Wolverine to team up with Ryan Reynolds Deadpool in the MCU. So there was a lot of outside the movie things that really made the hype for this that much higher. And it did not disappoint. The movie was phenomenal with great action. Of course that Deadpool comedy was always in there, still there to in this movie. And finally seeing Hugh Jackman come back, don the yellow and the blue costume, it was all just great stuff to see. And I had such a good time in the theaters watching this. I feel like it was one of those movies where it feels like the entire theater is just enjoying it so much. And it was well deserved because it was done extremely well. All of the tongue in cheek jokes, the callback to all the Fox stuff, how much they fumbled the bag in the in the end. But yeah, Deadpool and Wolverine. Too surprised that it made this list. Made a buttload of money in the theaters, reviewed very well, loved by fans, and it's interesting prospect to see kind of what the future holds for Deadpool amongst the MCU, as the MCU has its own kind of ups and downs going on right now. But we shall see what happens to it there. All right. Next up, well, I guess I can talk about this because I kind of mentioned it a little bit before, but animation still going strong. Which I kind of thought another spinoff I could make from this is the fact that Disney had a bounce back year after having a rough 2023. A few movies didn't work out. COVID kind of made them change the way they do things. What was that movie? The one with like the elements, with the fire and the water. That didn't work out too well. Seeing Red, they had to put on streaming services because of all the stuff. So Disney has had a kind of a rough few years when it comes to their movies. But this year seems to have been a bounce back year, and most of that is due to animation, which is going strong and doing very well. This year we had Transformers 1 that came out, surprised everybody. Because the trailer, from what I heard, the trailers did not do do the movie justice. Yeah, from what I heard, the trailers did not do the movie justice. It was a lot more than what the trailers kind of played it out to be. Which again, I'll talk about it when I watched the trailer on the news drop. How the movie itself didn't seem to be what I thought it was gonna be. It definitely seemed like it was going for more of a kid-friendly, heavily comedic toned movie. But it seemed like the movie was a lot more than that, and it did very well amongst critics. I want to say amongst theaters too. Don't quote me on that. I haven't actually looked that up, but I think it did pretty dang well. I actually still got this up here. Or maybe not. It didn't even make. Yeah, it didn't even make top 30. So it did. Well, it made 138 million worldwide. I don't know what it's. I don't know what it was made on. Let's see. What was the budget for it? Man, I haven't messed with box office mojo in so long. It doesn't say. Oh, so this is box office mojo by IMDb Pro. Is this what box office mojo is now? Okay, whatever. Um, yeah, so it didn't make it didn't crack very high amongst things, but that isn't to say for the other ones that did though, because we also talk about this one is fairly recent. I didn't have it on here because it came out after I wrote this. Moana 2 came out, did numbers. I mean numbers. Right now it stands at a domestic gross of damn near $400 million. Um to dang near 500 million in foreign for a grand total of near nearly made $1 billion, $882 million in the box office for Moana 2. So there you go. Animation going strong. Also, I didn't even know this because I didn't write it down, but I'm looking at it now. Despicable Me 2 is actually right above it at number 3. That's at $969 million. So that damn near got $1 billion as well. So animation going strong. And then of course the thing that actually did make $1 billion in the animated space, um, of course, because this thing came out and did massive numbers. Inside Out 2 came out and just did plenty numbers. Like I said, it made $1 billion. It was the top. It was one of. It's the top grossing movie of the year. So that just goes to show you animation is still doing well, can still do massive numbers. And even the family friendly stuff, especially if it's done very well, it's still good. And that's why I was like, this is also a pretty good bounce back year for Disney, able to kind of get back on top of things with a nice sliver of really well done movies. They have like what, 3 movies in the top domestic box office. So yeah, Inside Out 2, Moana 2, Despicable Me 4, which I didn't know. Yeah, animation going very strong this year. So there is that. Another thing that's going pretty damn strong this year, horror. Horror has done very well this year. Which I think I put that on there for last year as well. So horror is looking up. Yeah, so while none of them might be like the most highest grossing movies that come out this year, they all did very well in terms of like critical and critic reception. So you had things like Long Legs, Maxine, A Quiet Place, Alien Romulus, all did very well amongst fans and critics. So a nice little run of horror movies this year, which is pretty cool. Um Unfortunately, yet again, I've seen none of these. So yeah, but that's really good. Is horror back? Maybe. Just maybe. We'll have to see how horror movies do in 2025. That way we might have a good 3 year streak of just some really solidly good, really well made horror movies. But yeah, speaking of that, something that's probably gonna be amongst all three here. I need to watch more movies. Like I said, every movie I talked about here, I've only seen. I saw Madam Web. I saw Borderlands. So yeah, put myself through that. I saw Furiosa, I saw Deadpool and Wolverine, and it's Sonic 3 for that's not really animation. But yeah, for good video game movies, why how the hell is that movie so damn good? I'm not gonna lie to y'all, it genuinely kind of baffled me how good Sonic 3 was. Like, but it shouldn't be because the first 2 movies were also very good. Like I seen the first 2 on. I think I bought the first one to watch it, check that out. I liked it. Saw the second one on Paramount Plus. Watched that one. That one was really good too. Even the Knuckles series, I went into it with very low expectations and was kind of surprised by how just kind of charming it was, and how it's not phenomenal, but it's okay. Especially if you go into it with very little to no expectations on it. It was done pretty dang well. But yeah, just like Sonic 3, it was like it had a twist in there that I was kind of like genuinely surprised the turn it took for that. When stakes were high, they felt like they were high. When tensions and tempers went high, it felt like that way. Some of the jokes actually hit. There was a bunch of references to the video games and stuff that I caught. Um, and then like the final scene was supposed to be very like emotional and super epic, and it felt that way too. I was generally like, what the fuck? Why is this movie like why is this movie so good? I don't know how. Sega, I don't know what you need I don't know what you need to do, but for these movies to be so damn good and for you to be struggling on the games so much, I don't know what it is. You might have to rethink it. You might have to restructure your plan here. And you might need to just go full on into doing these movies because I don't know what the heck it is, but they doing them good. They're doing them very, very well. So yeah, Sonic 3, I didn't write it, but Sonic 3 is probably on my best of list too because that was really good. All right. I'll take a little pause here, refill my water container as we get on to TV. All right, we are back. Also, I'll turn my fan on because it was hot. So if you hear it in the background, I apologize for that. But let's move on to TV. Now, admittedly, TV might be the least expansive one I have in here because I admit I have not watched a ton of TV this year. It's another thing. It's probably like I said, it's gonna be a thing about all three. I need to really engage and indulge more in all three. So I'm gonna try to fix that for 2025. But let's run through TV real quick. Of course, starting with the worst of, and I gotta go. Paramount's television division. If y'all remember, Paramount actually shuttered its entire TV division this year. So just equals up to a lot of lost jobs. People lost their jobs. A lot of projects that might have been in the pipeline are now not happening. So yeah, that got canned and canceled. So I can find a because everything goes to fucking. Yeah, Paramount TV Studios. That's what it is. Shut down due to a merger. So it seems like a lot of the TV shows actually transitioned to CBS. Um, but yeah, still, you know, it's a sad thing. Probably people lost a lot of people lost their jobs. It has been going for quite a while. So yeah, that's a pretty crappy thing. But at least everything kind of moved over to CBS, so I guess that helps if anybody because anybody and so CBS is like one of the weirdest networks, I swear. Cause it's like they always have like they claim to always have like the number one shows, but it's like what the hell do they have over there? I feel like ain't nothing but the elderly people watching CBS shows. All right, next up, of course, worst stuff. One of the negative effects we thought that was going to happen in this streaming revolution is kind of proven to be true, which is streamers are getting greedy. This year there was a huge crackdown on like password sharing. Notably, Netflix did this. I am one of the unfortunate victims of of said cancellation of password sharings. Trying to get more people to own their own accounts or purchase a higher tier to have multiple accounts, more accounts attached to it. Like I said, they've been implementing more and more expensive tiers into it. Of course, like Hulu has brought in like an ad free tier. I think there's even like a premium ad free tier that involves like live sports stuff like that. So now there's more pricing options and more tiers, which means more diluting of the actual platforms. And of course, we're already in a position where people might already have multiple streaming accounts that they have a lot of money lined up into them. Now you got different tiers attached to them, and of course things are going pricing of them is going up. Um, and then you have like the worst one of the bunch. I've talked about this many, many, many of times. Max, HBO Max, who of course continues to up the price of their subscription service while actively removing content from said streaming platform. I think there was a news story recently that they're removing even more like classic Cartoon Network shows from the show from the series from the streamers. So now there's even more content that they're taking off and removing. So yeah, oh my gosh. And to all my anime fans out there, I don't know if y'all know this, Crunchyroll is also introducing a new system in order to watch One Piece. If y'all don't know, One Piece is like the biggest and most popular anime manga in like Japan and maybe even like the world right now. It's like the biggest thing going on in anime manga right now. Yes, there might be some that capture the zeitgeist for a little bit of time, but I mean, if we're talking popularity and sales, One Piece dominates everybody, especially over in Japan and probably in like the states and stuff too. But yeah, so they're implementing a new system which basically they have tiers. And with each of these tiers, it's also different arcs of One Piece, which is different basically like seasons, storylines are now all locked behind the tiers. So you can't just get one a tier and get every One Piece episode unless it's the most expensive tier, and now you get everything. Now you might get just a few from the start, but then the higher tier has the next set in the middle, and then the highest one has those plus the more recent ones, which is just total trash. That's such bull. And combine this with the fact that Japan is also apparently cracking down on a lot of illegal sites that host anime as well. It's kind of making it harder for people to actually get out to get a hold and watch these. But of course, you can still just support the official releases and just buy them on physical media. But that's also a thing, as physical media is also kind of turning into a dying medium too. So keep your eye on that bubble there, people. All right. Next up we have anybody remember Clipped? FX's show that was about the Donald Sterling when he owned the Clippers. Yeah, I remember everything that happened. So it pretty much the entire casting that went along with this. It was the joke of the internet for weeks when the show came out. Just everybody they picked for the cast looked nothing like who were they supposed to be in real life. And it was just honestly hilarious. I remember that picture they showed where somebody was supposed where people was supposed to be Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. Oh boy, that was hilarious. So Clipped was one of those drama series that FX did, kind of like what they did with the OJ show with Cuba Gooding Jr. when he played OJ. It's supposed to be something like that. Unfortunately, this one did not reach the heights that that show did. So, yeah, and from what I hear, the show also just wasn't that good either. So, yeah, we'll talk. So, yeah, that was hilarious. I haven't watched it yet, but that, see if I can find that picture. I'm gonna see if I can find that. I'll see if I can find that picture real quick. Here it is. Here it is. Right here. Here it is. Right. Here it is. Right here. They had a bigger one. Oh, it's just like what the hell it is. Okay, that one ain't loading. So I'm just show this one. Y'all can't really see it. Let me zoom on in. Of course, I zoom in and it makes the damn picture smaller. What the hell? There we, they put them in front of it, so you can't really see them. It's right there. So yeah, these guys right here. These guys are supposed to be these guys. And what the? All right. Yeah, that was hilarious. It was also funny because it went to that whole like the Hallmark jokes. Some other show did something very similar to this, where the casting was just kind of hilarious because they looked nothing like the people they were supposed to be. All right. Oh my goodness. And I don't. If anybody remember this, also in my worst of is Netflix's Good Times. Yeah. What the fuck? Why can I not click on the goddamn my search bar? All right. Netflix's Good Times. I have not watched this. I don't know anybody who has watched this. Is it even out yet? That's also a good question. It was an animated series of the show Good Times, classic black sitcom back in the day. They were remaking it for Netflix, and I don't know what much else to say other than just to look at this. And this is supposed to be Good Times. I'll let some of the audio even play. Add it on mute. It's like, okay, like what is this supposed to be? I don't know. I don't know what they were thinking. Like it's like yeah, it's like Seth MacFarlane and Steph Curry, but they're executive producers on it, which is basically just they just put money in it and had very little to do with like the actual creative or any decisions. They just kind of financed it. So yeah, I don't know. I don't even know if the show's out yet, but
It's for you. New phone. Who
if it
this?
is, it's been
At
long
least they ain't
dead and
got
long
that
buried. Like,
drug
what the fuck
dealing
is that?
baby under my
It's
roof
supposed to be
no
a
more.
baby. The fuck?
Man, my mouth
Like,
ready for some milk right now.
like,
Dalvin, why are you so
and,
aggressive,
Good Times is
sis?
just about a black family, just a black family of average means, just trying to make it, and that's about it. So I don't know what the hell that was all supposed to be, but yeah, Netflix is Good Times on the worst of list here. All right, like I said, most disappointing. I don't really think of too much anything within like my circle that I can speak on too much. But I put it. It could have went on worse, but I put Star Wars Acolyte because it was yet one. It was the fact that how the fandom just immediately shits on things immediately nowadays. I feel like the Star Wars fandom is one of the worst fandoms out, and very little will satisfy them. But at the same time, Disney has not done very much to quell that. The only good thing they've done so far has been The Mandalorian, and even that's kind of petered out a little bit. Like season what the fuck is the most recent season? Season 3 kind of came and went. It didn't seem that it was as talked about and as popular as the first two seasons were. So even that popularity is kind of dying out now. But yeah, Disney has not done very well with the Star Wars franchise, and the Acolyte unfortunately continues to prove that. You would hope that after all the time spent shitting on it, that it would come out and it would actually kind of be pretty damn good. And unfortunately, it wasn't. And they kind of admitted their loss and they canceled it and said they're not going to continue on with another season. So there you go. So, so that's about all I got. Do you know any other kind of disappointing shows that came out that you were just TV was actually pretty damn solid this year, I will say. Arcane, even though I'll probably never watch it, I've heard none but good things, which is probably why I'll never watch it. Because it's either gonna be overpromise and underdelivers, or I'm gonna watch it and kind of hate watch it, just to be different. I'll admit, and but maybe someday when like the hype for it is long past and over and done, I'll check it out, or whenever I get a Netflix, whatever. But yeah, like Invincible came out and it was pretty good. I heard good things about The Boys. I still haven't watched it, but I heard that was really good. Secret. I'm like I was saying, all Amazon stuff. Um, there has been some pretty good TV. Oh, Shogun, which perfectly transitions to our best of list for the best of TV. And that's the one we're talking about. Shogun. Show came out of nowhere, did numbers, so many award nominations, so much going into it. But Shogun did extremely, extremely well. And from what I hear, it is a phenomenal show that has been on my watch list since I seen the trailer when it when it first came out. So there is that. Still haven't seen it yet, but it is definitely on my list. I think literally I went into Hulu not too long ago, completely with the intent to watch it. I wanted to watch Alien Romulus, and then after I finished that, I was gonna check out that, but for some reason I was logged out, and in just typical millennial fashion, I was too lazy to log in from my TV or my phone. So I was just like, all right, whatever. And I haven't even been back to Hulu since that happened. So there you go. But I do fully intend to watch it at some point, probably at the start of the year, because I do want to watch more TV. I got to watch more TV, more movies, and play more video games. That's my 2025 resolution. But moving on, another thing that really was, for what I hear, is really good and captured a lot of the zeitgeist. The Penguin, HBO Max's original show, the spinoff from the Batman universe, starring Colin Firth as the Penguin. I've heard nothing but good things about this show. Um, I hear I don't know what the woman's name is, but I hear she steals the damn show in there. Christine Milotti. I hope I'm saying that right. Yeah, I heard she steals the damn show in this series, and from what I hear, like this show was just so very well done. Um, it justifies its existence, which I think was a lot of people's kind of biggest worry. Having a show about the Penguin. Even though the Batman was a really good movie, he didn't play a significant role in it. But yeah, I've heard nothing but good things about the Penguin. So I'm gonna have to figure out some way to watch that because I tell you, I am not subscribing to HBO Max. All right, and for the next show on our best of list, we've got, of course, X-Men '97. My personal probably show of the year of the one of the only two shows I watched that actually came out this year. Um, what do I have to say? Go watch my review of X-Men '97, and that'll tell you everything I had to think about this show. This show was fucking phenomenal. The animation, the storylines, everything just in this motherfucker hit so hard. I did not think they was gonna come with this much heat for this goddamn show. But I think it proves how much because I watched the original '90s show before I got to this, and I will say, and I don't think anybody's gonna argue with this either. X-Men '97 is clearly so much more superior to the than the original material. And it's done the one thing I wished more shows like this would do, notably you, Power Rangers. It aged up with its target audience. Everybody who grew up watching this show is like me. They're in like their freaking 30s now or older. And it's like, so they aged the show up with it. Granted, the original show kind of did handle some more darker, some more serious sort of stuff to it. It's the X-Men. So of course it's the damn, they're freaking I was gonna say, I was gonna say a monopoly. That's not the word I was thinking of. I forget what the word I'm thinking of. But it's the X Men. They're meant to reflect the damn civil rights movement, so their justice in and of itself is gonna handle stronger subject matter. But man, this show is phenomenal. The action in the show, the storylines, the villain. Who was done extremely well, even though he was only in like the last what 3, 4 episodes. And then of course the whole I don't want to spoil nothing. The damn one of the most impactful moments I feel put the TV in such a long time. The Genosha episode. Y'all know what I'm talking about if y'all saw it. But yeah, X-Men '97 is a damn triumph. It has been having some issues with its lead writer. That freak ass nigga over there. But but so hopefully Allegedly, allegedly. I ain't trying to get wrapped up. Then everything's alleged right now. But hopefully season two will be able to continue strong without him. So we shall see. All right, and next up, we of course close things out with video games. Of course, kicking things off with the worst. And the worst, I have it written as Bungie, but this can literally go to the damn the state of the games overall, which is the mass firings and mass layoffs. Of course, I think the layoffs in this year eclipse the number we've had this year is larger than last year and 2022 put together is more this year than those 2 years put together. So that's very sad. So I had Bungie, they had a bunch of firings. They let off like 220 employees. But like I said, that goes for just the state of games everywhere. EA has had some massive layoffs. I think Ubisoft had a couple. Um, Rocksteady laid off the couple. So yeah, there's just been a huge thing of workers getting laid off. Um, which might not do great things for the industry as a whole in the future because now you got so the talent pool is going to be so small and shallow now because there's such little people working now. Some people they like get released and they just completely just give up working in the games industry altogether. So that might be a little troubling for the future. So yeah. So I had Bungie, but that goes for everybody. Of course we got to talk about the biggest well, of course, we got to talk about the biggest disappointment that happened this year. That being Concord, and Firewalk Studios. This game was looter, hero shooter, came out the gate, slandered damn near immediately, and it was never able to really recover from there. This was supposed to be Sony's next big live service game, which was like a thing they were trying to do this year, which was to go really big on live service games. But unfortunately, Concord did not work out. Burned a massive hole in Sony's pocket. There's a lot of things that factor into this. Um, one of them could be just live service fatigue, which of course I don't know if you could say it because I mentioned this before. Marvel Rivals came out at the end of this year. It is also a hero shooter, but it is doing spectacular numbers right now. It is definitely the hot thing in the gaming sphere right now. I go on freaking social media and I see so many shorts of Marvel Rivals. So I don't know if that's a big thing, but of course, it's just the fact that if it does something new or interesting, I feel, which might have been Concord's thing, even though it did have like a cutscene it was supposed to do like every week, so it did have that. The character designs are a big thing too. A lot of people are not gelling with the way the characters looked. It's hard to make a hero shooter if there's not a hero people want to play. So there's that too. But yeah, and this is just a massive L for Sony. Everything they're doing is just everything that came with this was just a huge letdown. But combined with this, I will say another big disappointment was just kind of live service games as a whole. Not only was Concord a victim of another live service game death, we also had a couple more this year too. That being Foam Stars, Square Enix's uh basically Splatoon clone, but foam. If if I remembers that, yeah, that's going into maintenance mode. No new updates are coming for that, so that's about to get sunset. X Defiant. Actually, hold off on that. Suicide Squad killed the Justice League. That was another massive L as well. It's supposed to be the next big thing for Rocksteady after the Batman Arkham games. It turned out to be a looter shooter, which I feel like hampered them tremendously because it meant all four characters had to play basically the same. Where if they made it all the enemy types had to be the same, which basically means if they just made it a damn single player action adventure game, all four characters could have been played phenomenally different from one another. You made Deadshot the shooter, King Shark could have been the melee heavy or even melee only character. Harley Quinn could have been the more traversal character, as she's the more athletic of the bunch. And then Boomerang. Why the hell you got Captain Boomerang out here shooting Glocks? The man's name is Captain Boomerang. He should be throwing boomerangs, bro. Stay in your lane, cuz. What are you doing? By the way, I said I don't mean cuz like that. I know I'm wearing blue. I ain't like I ain't like that. I don't bang. I don't do none of that. All right, chill out. It's just an expression. All right, but yeah, and then of course, Ubisoft's X Defiant. They announced that that's getting sunset. I think at the start of next year. So that one didn't work out as well. That's supposed to be their next big Call of Duty killer. Fortunately, though, that did not work out. Speaking of Ubisoft, next up on our worst of list is basically everything to do with Ubisoft this year. My goodness, Ubisoft had it bad, man. This has not been a good year. It's been such a bad year. The future of Ubisoft itself is looking extremely dour right now. They might be getting bought out from Tencent. Is that their name? Who does like all the mobile games and shit. They might be getting bought out by them. They have to shutter X Defiant. Star Wars Outlaws did not sell too well. That didn't go as planned. Skull and Bones came out, released to a wet fart. That didn't do nothing out here. Their first quadruple A games, and that didn't do anything as well. So yeah, Ubisoft is down bad right now. And it's kind of strange because so much of this studio is riding on Assassin's Creed Shadows right now. And there's even some word that even if Assassin's Creed Shadows does well, the company could still be bought out by Tencent. So yeah, Ubisoft is not in good spirits right now. So yeah, so that's our worst of in terms of the video games. I could have went and listed more actual games, but it was a lot of stories going around in video games that kind of I felt like were most important. Of course, you also got like the Game Informer closing out. That sucks too. Actually, we could probably put that in our most disappointing. Yeah, most disappointing. The closure of Game Informer magazine. What makes this worse is that the fact that it wasn't even just the fact that they canceled the company and we're not getting any more magazines. It's also the fact that they completely just like kneecap the website, so you can't even go back and look at past works from the website. I mentioned this in my news drop or in my not in my news drop, my end of an eras video, talking about how the website is now down and you can only get to the splash page announcing that Game Informer is done. You can't look at any old articles, any old reviews, anything that came from Game Informer that was on the website. You can't even get to. Now the only thing you can do to look at the past is the actual magazines, which is gonna go up in quality like a motherfucker right now. I think when Game Informer first announced they were closing, their first issue was like $100 on eBay. It is now gone up to damn near 1,000. It's now worth $900. I see one that's $900. I see another one that's $700. So, so it's already the price of them is already skyrocketed up. So I can only imagine what it's going to be in like 10 years. But yeah, that's definitely in one of our most disappointing lists. Um, Speaking of Ubisoft, disappointing. Assassin's Creed Shadows, because I feel like everything about this game and all the discussions and concourse around it has had nothing to do with the actual game itself. Of course, everybody's just talking about the fact that the damn black man is one of is one of the main characters of of the game. Completely ignoring the fact that the actual damn assassin of the damn thing is now the woman. But of course, that's a whole another problem. The fact that the other character is a woman. So so it seems like everything about the whole discourse about this game has had very little to do with the actual game. And now you add into it the fact that now, as I mentioned before, there's now so much pressure on this damn game to work for Ubisoft, for this to be a W for them. How maybe even the literal future of the company relies on this game doing well. There's a lot of pressure for the team and for this game to have all of them. So it's in a very strange and awkward predicament. Um, yeah, it just sucks for them. Um, the entire concourse of the games, this whole everybody being pissed that the Asuke is a character and everything talking about that. Did y'all see the fact that the dude actually went to Japan to ask people what if Japanese people were upset about it and nobody cared? I think even the damn government let out a statement and was like, "Bro, we don't care. We got we got bigger problems in our damn country to be worried about than a goddamn video game." Okay, so so then and then of course, like I mentioned, all the ails Ubisoft has been experiencing as of late, for this to now be the definite bona fide win that they need puts a lot of pressure on everything. So I wasn't rooting for this game before. But I am now. I hope this game does well. It got pushed back. It's now dropping in like February of next year. I wasn't really on board with it at first. I didn't really fuck with Assassin's Creed or Ubisoft very much, but I'm kind of hoping that this game works out. I really, really am. All right, next up we also have kind of the same thing with Dragon Age the Veilguard. When this game came out, man, it was a mess online when this game dropped. Not even when the game dropped, when the review embargo for this game was lifted, and you're seeing all of these video game companies and all these video game publishers. I say companies, publishers giving it extremely high scores. That of course the game had an uphill battle from the start anyway because people weren't really digging the animations. They kind of thought this was like it didn't look like a Dragon Age game. And then of course the Go Brokies came in when they learned that every character was like bisexual, and then there was a non-binary character in the game, so they came over and there was a whole thing there too. Adding to it, there are two very trusted sources within the internet gaming community, that being Mr. Matty Plays and Skill Up. Uh, Gave the game some very very low impressions of the game. They both responded pretty negatively to the game uh when the review bar goals were lifted. So it really kind of made this immediate kind of split between critics and just the regular everyman video gamer. How it seemed like, of course, everybody was like, "Oh, EA buying EA is out here paying and buying reviews for the game," and then of course, you had all these people saying like, "Oh, these people, this is what they truly think of the game, so this is kind of how it actually has to be." Which again sucks because at that point we're not even talking about the actual damn game. We're talking about shit that, that has to do with everything else but the actual game. I'm playing it right now. I'm currently playing it. I've been a long time Dragon Age fan. I've been a fan since Origins. It hasn't been my favorite gaming franchise. I'm more of a Mass Effect guy, but it is one of my favorite game franchises out right now, and I'm enjoying it. I am genuinely enjoying the game so far. Is it perfect? No. Does it have a lot of pitfalls and some issues? Yeah, sure. Am I still pissed that they didn't allow us to actually import actual choices and save into the game? Hell yeah, I am. But am I just having fun playing the game? Hell yeah, I am. And it kind of got better once the first 2 weeks it was all like that, but after that kind of went away, and people who were playing the game stayed playing the game. Impressions were just kind of like, yeah, we like it, it's enjoyable, it ain't great, it ain't perfect, it ain't great, it ain't perfect, it ain't the best game I've ever played, but it's a fun game and I'm enjoying it, and there's some good nuggets in there here and there. So it's just that. Just eventually, we motherfuckers weren't even talking about the damn game. They just, you know how shit goes. Motherfuckers talk about pushing agendas and all this annoying ass shit. So I'm playing it and I like it, and I'm enjoying it. So that's all I got to say about that. All right. So yeah, that was it for most important. Now to talk about the best in gaming. First of all, we got to talk about the SAG strike. With the rise of AI and especially AI voiceover. I'm glad that the actors went on strike. Actually, let me see if I get an update on this because I actually don't know what the state they are at now. I don't know if it's still going or if it's over. I think they are still on strike. Yeah, it seems like as of October, they are still on strike. Yeah, the contract expired in no, that was the other one. 18 months. We invite you to comparison. It's virtually in person. Yeah, yeah, they are still on strike. Yeah, this is in like this is from like August. So yeah, so I think that's a great thing because with the rise of AI and now AI voiceover, or even just AI in general, because remember, in video games, it's not just voice acting now. There's also a full like mocap sessions now. So now if you can just get AI to do the voice and to just animate the movements, yeah, our job security is in danger. So I don't blame them for striking. So I say it's a very good thing that they went on strike. I hope that they can come to a negotiation and get those protections against AI and their likenesses and things of that nature. So I'll put that as a plus. All right, let's talk about some of the better games that come out this year. Also, best indie games continuing to be a big positive in the gaming industry today. One of the video game awards for Game of the Year was Balatro, which was just a basic ass card game, literally just playing cards, and it was developed by one person, and it was up for Game of the Year, and took home a lot more awards at the Game Awards. And that's kind of a running narrative nowadays. Like these teams are very small, if not just one individual person making a game that's actually really good and really popular. This goes to show these gaming companies that look, you don't need hundreds of people and millions of dollars pour in order to make a good game. If you can make a small team on a small, modest budget and do the same exact damn thing. So hopefully this is a good message to them. I didn't write this, but I also want to say, I don't know the guy. I can't remember the guy's name. The guy who runs, now I can't remember the name of the studio's name. They made Baldur's Gate 3. What the heck is the studio's name? Not Wizards of the Coast. That's the people who own. That's the people who own Dungeons and Dragons. What the heck is their name? Larian Studios. The guy who runs Larian Studios. The little speech he gave at the Game Awards before presenting Game of the Year. Uh, I gotta put that on my best of list because again, that is a message I feel needs to be spread a lot more. Swin, that's his name. Yeah, Swin, that's his name. Needs to be spread a lot more. Like everything, like I get it. It's a business, and we gotta make money at the end of the day. But at the same time, it's like if you just give these creatives room to work, let them make their vision, let them make a game. What do you say? Make a game that they want to make and that they have fun making, and then you put it out there, and that should translate to us as the consumers playing the game, and we like it and we have fun with it. Then the money will come in. You don't have to implement all these other things to nickel and dime, all these microtransactions and all this other bullshit and whatnot to make sure you get all your money's worth. If the game is good and the game is solid, the money will come. Just focus on making a damn good game. That is it. And letting the people work and don't crunch them and the fucking don't be a fucking dick. Cause we also had a whole bunch of news stories of just fucking hostile work environments and just all this other shit. Just let the people work. Just let them do their job. Let them keep their job and do their job. It's not that goddamn hard. Um. So yeah, that I had this written on my best of list before the Game Awards came around. Astrobot, one of the only games that came out this year that I played. I think I literally played Astrobot and Dragon Age that actually came out this year that I played. Which is again, I need to play more video games. I actually have a legit reason why I don't do much in the year. I keep myself to like a 5 game limit, 5 full price games a year. because your boy is not swinging money like that. I don't have it like that. So yeah, and then like when it's a whole story. I ain't gonna spill it. I ain't gonna talk about much of it now. But yeah, but Astrobot, I loved Astrobot. It was such a fun game. The music in it was really good. I love the level designs. And it was one of those games where you just turn it on and you just play, and then you just enjoy the time you're playing it, and then you turn it off and you move on. You don't have to spend hours trying to be the boss. It's not a live service, an online game, so you gotta finish a section or something to actually log off and quit. But man, I loved Astrobot. It was my game of the year. As of right now, unless we'll see how Dragon Age the Veilguard is once I actually finish it. But yeah, it's my game of the year. It won game of the year. I was excited. I loved it. I know it pissed a lot of people off, some people off. But I loved it. I loved Astrobot so much. I played it twice. I played it, loved it so much. I went back. I replayed Astro's Playroom. There was some new content from that came out before this was released, so I got to experience that for the first time. And then I went back and I played Astrobot a second time. So that's how much I enjoyed it. But yeah, Astrobot was just a lovely, lovely game. I do want to talk about some games that were good that I didn't play, but that I heard were just phenomenal. Um, um, Tekken 8, I heard was a really good fighting game. I don't really do fighters too much, but it was on there. Um, Dragon Ball. Can I put Dragon Ball Sparking Zero? Dragon Ball Sparking Zero's community would probably be in the worst of because I hear that they are like that's what's ruining the game. It's Sparkling Zero's actual community. Black Myth Wukong. I know a lot of people freaking loved Black Myth Wukong. I haven't played it. I'm not really a big Souls guy. I'm trying to change that. I'm trying to change that. I'm not a big Souls guy, so I didn't play it. But I'm trying to change that because Shadow of the Air Tree, the DLC, the expansion for Elden Ring came out. People freaking love that shit. Uh, it did massive when it first came out. Unfortunately, like I said, I haven't played it. But I avoided it when Elden Ring first came out. I avoided getting swept up in the hype because I think Horizon Zero Dawn came out at the same time, and that's what I was playing. So that got me to avoid getting swept up in the hype. So I didn't play it. I couldn't avoid it this time. I actually nutted up and I bought Elden Ring when Shadow of the Erd Tree dropped. Unfortunately, I have not played it. I've played it. I unfortunately have not been able to give it the time necessary to actually play it. If that makes sense. If y'all played the Souls games, y'all know what I'm talking about. Like I can't really jump into it for like 40 minutes and then jump out. Especially if you're doing like a dungeon or you run into a boss fight, which I do believe I actually am at. I think I'm at like the first major boss fight in the game. And I haven't gotten past it yet. Because like I said, I haven't been able to sit down and give it the hours to actually work through the boss fight, the mechanics, and figuring out what works and what doesn't. I usually play for like 2 hours, and then I gotta be like, all right, well, I gotta move on and do something else. I turn it off, and then I gotta come back. And so, that might be a big thing I do in 2025. My journey to be an Elden Lord, but we'll see. But yeah, Shadow of the Earth Tree, Metaphor Refantasio. My biggest issue with that is I heard it was an extremely long game, and I was playing Cyberpunk, and I had just started Dragon Age. After finishing Dragon Age Origins, I started Dragon Age the Veilguard. So I already had like 300-hour, 60 to 100-hour games on my docket. I didn't think I could afford to put another one on there. Um, but I heard about it. I heard it was really good. I played the demo. I played the demo at least, and I felt it. I felt myself falling in love and I wanted more. So I had to stop playing the demo. So I was like, I don't have the time for another 60, 100-hour game to play right now. So I stopped playing the demo. But I got it on a Black Friday sale. So I have it. I haven't even cracked it open yet. I got that. Final Fantasy 7, not yeah, Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth. that I also heard was very good, and Warhammer 40K Space Marine 2 that it was also really good. I heard it was also really good too. I had all three of those on the Black Friday sale. I haven't even cracked any of them open yet. They're still in the plastic because I got to play them in a time where my docket is kind of cleared out. So we'll see when that happens. But yeah, Metaphor, I heard that game was a banger, up for game of the year as well. I get that one because I played the like I said, I played the demo, and in like the 20 minutes or an hour of the or hour and a half of the demo I played, I was seeing it. I was seeing the vision. I was seeing what this game had to offer, and I was digging it. And I had to be like, I don't have the time right now. But yeah, so those are on our best of list. So yeah, there you have it. Our best, our worst, and our most disappointing of the year. Um, I think overall, yet again, what I gathered from this list is that I need to find some way to experience more of my big three. If I'm gonna have this channel where I'm talking about movies and TV and video games, and I only watched three movies that came out this year, I watched one show that actually dropped this year, and I've only played like two games that came out this year. I'm not really doing myself any service to anything. So in 2025, I need to play more games, see more movies, watch more shows that actually come out within that year. So that's what I'm going to try to do. I'm going to try to up my stuff a little bit. My biggest thing is of course with my video games. Um, I got to figure out some way because I got a lengthy back catalog of stuff that I want to get through before we move on to more newer stuff. So I got to figure out how the heck I'm gonna do that because I never finished Hogwarts Legacy because I uninstalled it to play Spider-Man 2. The Veil Guard I'm playing. Like I mentioned, I got Final Fantasy 7 Remake. I've been playing that off camera in my spare time. I downloaded the Intermission DLC because I wanted to play that before I jumped into that. Um, Elden Ring, like I mentioned before, I got that. This is all just on my PlayStation. I have my Xbox, but that one is kind of a bit more of a casual game and stuff. But I got like Jedi Survivor that I want to finish because I played Fallen Order and that was great. That game was great too. I gotta finish that. Hi-Fi Rush, I've had downloaded since it came out. I still ain't finished that. Hellblade, the first one, Son of Sinuous Sacrifice. I started playing that because I want to play two. I still ain't finished that, so I ain't even started two. So yeah, I got a back catalog I gotta get through. Especially for the fact that I don't know what's coming out. TV. Um I'm restructuring the way I do reviews. I'm not gonna do full on in-depth reviews anymore because it means I actually have to sit and actually consume and pay attention and absorb the damn shows. And I have very little time to do that anymore. I have a show on in the background while I'm doing like two other jobs, which might be the best way to go about it because that means I can actually watch them and get through them. So that might be how we handle TV. Movie stuff too. I'm not gonna be too to go too in depth in movie reviews anymore. I still have reviews. It's just not gonna be that full on in depth talk about them like I used to do. It might just kind of be, hey, I saw these things I like, these are things I didn't like. This is kind of my overall thoughts on the show, my overall thoughts on what could be coming next in the future, and that'll be it. So what used to be maybe like 40-minute to an hour long reviews might end up going now to maybe like 20 minutes. So we'll see how that goes. So as like I said, same thing with movies. So yeah, 2025, I want to go out and see more movies. I guys gotta pay attention to shows when they drop and watch those. I'm also, it's a very odd thing to say, especially for myself now. I'm also probably gonna have to abandon my whole slow burn way I watch shows. I like to watch shows slowly. I actually like to take things in and watch them. But every so often I do that and then I forget about a show and I never come back to it. And I drop out of it. Like I have like there's Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live. I have not even watched the final episode of that yet. And I'm literally on the last episode. Same thing with like Snowpiercer. I got like two episodes left. Haven't gotten back into those. Um, what else is on the docket that I'm like I still ain't checked out? I still haven't watched the final season of Snowfall. The most recent season of Dave, bunch of Netflix shows that I gotta find some additional way to watch to watch those. Like Squid Game season 2 came out. I want to watch that. Yeah, so that's like a bunch of shows. Also need to. I got like a back catalog of shit I need to get through, and then focus on the future. But we'll figure that out as we go. You know, it's hard when you're a full time employee, but you're only like a I don't even know if part time content creator is what I even am. Quarter time content creator. So anywho, but that's my big goal for 2025 is to just expand my stuff and watch more shows, more movies, play more games, so that way I can actually get a better inform of things when we get to these end of the year stuff. I can actually talk more in depth about stuff. But yeah, so that's it for our best, worst, and most disappointing of 2024. And as we shutter 2024 and say goodbye and we move on to 2025, also going to talk about my most things I'm excited and things I'm interested in for 2025 for our big three. So I'll be going over that. I think I want to get that out. I'll try to do that so I can drop it on like the first or the second of January. I was going to record it after this, but looking at the time, and I got shit to do after this. So probably not gonna happen today. So we might try to record it tomorrow, and then we'll try to have it out on the first or the second of January. So yeah, so that is it for me. Thank you all so much for watching. If you feel so inclined, feel free to like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel if you're interested and enjoy what we're doing over here. 2025, just watch and play more. So I hope everybody had a fantastic year, and I hope 2025 is a better one for everybody. And wish you all just good vibes and having a great year. So happy holidays to everybody. Happy New Year, and I will see you all in 2025. I was also trying to get a news drop, but news is kind of so we'll see what I can have. We might just do something small for our final news drop of the year. But anywho, that's it for me here today. Thank you all so much for watching. Until next time, everybody. I will see you all later. I keep stepping out of my light, but goodbye.